Thank you very much for coming so early this morning and being punctual. My name is Tammy Sirkin, and just welcome. I'm glad you're here. This is our first session, and we're quite excited about it. But allow me to tell you a little bit about myself. I think that hearing my stories, you're going to be able to relate to some of the trials and tribulations that I've had over the years. Way back when I had 2 small children and a flourishing Amway business, one of my distributors had a day job in a promotional products company, and they were looking for salespeople. So I offered them my then husband. I offered them my then husband. He lasted there about 6 months. Wasn't his thing at all. However, following that, his employer called me one day and said, would you like to go and visit a customer who's looking for a repeat order? And I said, okay, I'll do that. So I went to visit this customer knowing absolutely nothing, but I came back with a huge order and said, hey, this is exciting, this could be fun. That was my introduction to the promotional products business. I really had no idea what I was doing, but gradually I developed some customers, and every time I went to see somebody, I always thought that they wanted something that I didn't have. And I would go back to my house and I would start researching in the yellow pages and trying to find this product. I remember very clearly doing this with Presidio. They're now called Presidio, but they used to be called Precision Craft. And I called them and I set up an account and I filled this order, and it was wonderful. After about 3 years of doing this, I had no idea that the promotional products company that I was working for could actually source out just about anything, but I didn't know that. So after sourcing out all my own things and setting up accounts on my own with my new partner Visa, it was great. I decided I didn't need the supplier anymore. I could just go and do my own thing. So I did that, and for the first 3 years, my income doubled every single year, and I said, hey, this is fantastic. I like this. And I had my Amway business, I had my small children, I had to do orders, I had to run around and fill orders, follow through, ship. I used to do everything, and it was absolutely a crazy, crazy life. However, I got results, and so I was very excited about it. But then one day, I couldn't cope with it. There was just way too much work. And so I looked to see if I could find somebody who could help me. I was working from my house at the time, so I didn't want any old stranger coming in. That was important to me. So I was asking everyone that came across my line of vision, do you know anyone who could come and work part-time for me? One day, my Avon lady, I asked her, and she said, oh, yeah, okay. She called me back and said, yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to work for you. So she came, and she was with me for 8 years. I was a little bit frustrated with some of her issues. She didn't spell well, and she made a few errors here and there. And I criticized her once too often, and she got up and quit. My fault, but that's what happened. After that, I had a series of women coming to work for me. There was one who was a fantastic office worker. She used to be a secretary to a VP at Volkswagen, so everything she did was, perfectly lined up and organized, and she redid the filing system, and everything in my office was gorgeous. But if anybody would call, she was like, what do you want? She was so rude to the customers. It was terrible. I had to let her go. Then I had one who was exactly the opposite. She just would schmooze with anybody who would listen to her, the suppliers, the couriers, anybody. She would just talk forever. Never got any work done. So she had to go. Then I had one who just was so scattered, there was no way she could keep anything straight at all. It was just, it was horrendous. So she had to go. Finally, I found a very nice young lady through an agency, and I helped her grow, and she was with me for 3 years, and she had the potentials of being fabulous. But her husband worked for the Bell and found her a much better job, much better paying job that she could do from home. Well, I couldn't compete with that, so she was gone. Then my accountant sent me his daughter. He felt sorry for me because I was complaining about not being able to keep up with all the workload. She had been on, she smoked, and she had been on whatever, couldn't remember anything. And, you know, she just couldn't keep track. She was great on the computer, but she couldn't keep track of anything. So she had to go. Then I think the next one was a graphic designer. And she had great potential because she redid the website and got us all hooked up with social media and artwork. Everything that had to do with graphics was fabulous. But orders, it was something else. There was always a mistake somewhere. Ordered the wrong quantities and the wrong color and shipped to the wrong place and the wrong deadline. It was just terrible. Anyhow, so I continued to complain about not being able to find staff. But in the process of all that, I had written up procedures for some of these girls who were working for me. And my collaborator, whom I've known for 25 years, he would listen to these stories of me not getting any help. And he said, you know, between us, we have about 60 years of experience in this industry. So why don't we put something together? And that's kind of how the course was born. We joined our forces, and we've discovered, he discovered, and he was a multi-line rep, that going through the countryside, there are an awful lot of people that had the same issue as me, finding proper help. It's a really, really tough thing to do. Nobody knows the whole industry. It's not, none of it is difficult, but it's so detailed. There are so many little things. You need to know everything on the supplier side and everything on the customer side, and it becomes very, very complex. So we put this course together for you, and I am thrilled because my collaborator, Willoughby, he's a very, very smart man. He's very personable. He knows the industry very well because he's been in it for 25 years. He started because I challenged him one day to go sell pens. He'd been a pen collector, go sell pens, and suddenly, before I know it, he had this humongously successful business in the islands. He was selling pens by the thousands and doing extremely well. So anyhow, so it gives me a great deal of pleasure now to introduce my collaborator and friend, Willoughby Edwards, and he's going to talk you through what the course is all about. And if you have any questions for me, we can talk about them later. So here's Willoughby.
Thank you, Tammy. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. Let me add my thanks for being here under these circumstances, but welcome. You're going to get the full Monty, as the saying goes, this morning. As Tammy has told you how we met, I had this business, and she used to come in and out of this business from time to time, going by to somebody else in the office, and she'd say, "Hi there," which is her typical salutation, and it came, so I used to call her the whirling dervish. Anyway, as she mentioned, I have been a pen collector since I was 8 years old, which is a long, long time ago. But she had been to Europe, and she brought back these Parker pens, which were not available in Canada. And she came in one day and put them on my desk and said, "You need to buy these." Okay. So I bought them, and then it went from there, and this famous expression, "Why don't you go sell pens?" And he said, I had had a major accident, shut down that business, and joined the promotional products industry. At the time that happened, the promotional products, this was a phrase I didn't even know. People used to call them giveaways, trinkets and trash. Now it's called swag, stuff we all get. But there are so many different terms for this that it was amazing. And so the business of getting, and Tammy was the one who said to me, "It's not trinkets and trash, it's trinkets and treasures." And that put a whole different spin on this thing, you know. However, went about that, was a distributor, as Tammy has told you, decided there's so many distributors in Canada. Why don't I try a place where I'm from and where I might do well, the Caribbean. So I started in Jamaica, which is the place of my birth, and it just went. There is a thing about Jamaica that schools and people out of certain schools do very well. Okay, because the country is run by those people. The prime minister is an alumnus of that school. That school tie, Jamaica College, which in Jamaica is like the Upper Canada College of the Caribbean, that works wonders. So before you knew it, I had all the major banks, all the major insurance companies, the rum companies, good things to have. All of those were my clients and was doing extremely well. So I figured, okay, what's closest? 90 miles away is Cuba. No American can sell in Cuba, so there's no competition. Cubans love Canadians. We built their 3 runways at their airports, Canada did. So we go into Cuba, and I was the only one. So did very well. Anyway, in no time at all, I was doing 7 Caribbean countries and did very, very well. Well, after 16 years of that, and now with the change in some of the islands and the change with the dollars and so on, I decided, time for a change. So I came back and became a multi-line rep. Now, you all know what a multi-line rep is, representing major companies. I had the pleasure and actually the honor of repping some of the biggest companies in the industry. Prime Line, MI Line, Obus Form, and so it went. Then, next challenge. Tammy, I listened to, pardon me, every day because we work out of the same office. And every day I would listen to her frustration about not being able to do things and having to work until midnight because she had to be not only doing the things that somebody should have done, but correcting the errors that were made by the people who worked for her. And that was the most frustrating part. So, as she mentioned, that's how we decided to put our heads together, put our experiences together, and produce this course. So, now, without further ado, the name of the course, Promotional Products Business Administration, is significant. Why is it significant? Because I am sure that every involvement with the promotional products industry that you've ever had, every course you've ever attended, every seminar, everything on the internet, has been about 2 things: sales and motivation. I'm prepared to bet that you have never attended a course on anything other than sales and motivation in this industry. Nobody has been concerned about the back office, as it's called, the whole administration process. Sure, you go out and you sell, and you do wonders. You come back to your office, then what? And even before you go out to sell, who is it that helps you to source what you're going to show to your client in a presentation? Who is it that helps you to find the things you need to find after you've got an order? None of that is taught, in our view, anywhere else. So, what we have done here is, okay, so we're saying this is the career pathway to industry competency, because without that knowledge, you cannot be effective. You can sell all you want, but unless you have the support in a back office, your sales will fall flat. All right? So we go from there to, okay, our mission, as it says, is to promote, encourage, and actively participate in the education and development of current and prospective promotional products administration personnel. And it's important that we talk about current and prospective. Now you might wonder, why would we want to educate people who are currently in the industry? Because unfortunately, many of those people are not knowledgeable about all the aspects of the industry. And as we get further into it, I'll show you why. And of course, there are people who want to get into the business. This is an industry that's unfortunate, and it shows quite often. People think, oh, it's just trinkets and trash. How difficult can it be? Well, when people lose a job, they go out, they get 3 catalogs, and all of a sudden they're a promotional products distributor. It happens all the time. There are no requirements to get into this industry, really. So a lot of people get into it and don't really know what they're doing. They just think, oh, I'll call on my friends because he has a business and he'll give me an order and it will go from there, and I'll call on my family, which is the way most businesses start. But unfortunately, it doesn't. There are people in the industry now who absolutely don't even know the codes. And if you speak to suppliers, you'd be surprised at how many people call them and say, what's my net price on that? Well, work it out. You know the codes, calculate it. But, however, so we are prepared to do that. And when we say to help administration personnel and entrepreneurs, the entrepreneur part is because most people in this industry really operate their own business. Distributorships are usually owned by one or more people, but there are a lot of distributors in here that are single operators, or single ownership. So the whole point about an entrepreneur is we believe that if you know this business properly, it is a good stepping stone to operate your own business. All right? So our objectives, and notice we say academy objectives. Initially, this is because we see this, we're serious enough about this to see this as a school. It is a legitimate teaching device, which is what most schools are. We say to formulate and consolidate a strong current base of industry knowledge. Remember, this course is industry specific. We've done it specifically for this industry. Now, there are aspects of it that you will learn in this course that are useful outside of it, like the whole customer service issue. If you can be customer service somewhere, you can be customer service presumably anywhere. But this one has specific things. So we're saying, as Tammy mentioned, between us, we have like close to 60 years of experience in this business on all sides. She has been a phenomenal distributor. I have been a distributor. I have been on the supplier side. I have been a multi-line rep. So it's all of the aspects that come into this industry. Then we want to offer a sanctioned, structured, accredited professional course. We are here today under the auspices of PPPC. When we wrote this course, we thought it would not be wise to have a course that didn't have at least the accreditation from the umbrella organization in this business. And happily and proudly, we say that we've got that, which is why we're here. So PPPC obviously thought that this was worthwhile. And if you look at some of the testimonials from some of the people in the brochure, there are some of the most prominent people in this industry who had a chance to see what we were doing and thought that it was that worthwhile. Okay? To accredit those who successfully complete the course. Yes, it will be rewarded by accreditation. In other words, you're not just going to take the course and nothing. You will get accreditation from it, both from us and from PPPC. All right? Now, they want to establish, maintain current, and make available to industry employees a central registry of graduates. That is significant. And why that is significant is as Tammy has pointed out, the difficulty people have of finding qualified people, and I reiterate qualified people to work, is great. So we thought, and we get all the time suppliers sending out emails that say, do you know of anybody that's available, and so on. So we thought one of the advantages we would do, and since this course is designed to go across the country, in fact, across countries, we would create, in effect, an agency, like an employment agency. And anybody, at their choice, can register with it. Once you've graduated in the course, can register with this, and we would make this available to primarily suppliers, okay, and distributors looking for people. So you have the chance. Now, we've had some feedback from this that says, well, that's not fair, because why should I pay to have my personnel go and take the course and get qualified, and then they get another job? Well, the point is, if you're treating your staff properly, they're not going to want to leave, okay? And it's up to them, it's up to the staff to decide whether they want to go or not. But we will make that available. So, the session outline. Okay, this introductory presentation of the aim, structure, and content inclusion of this sanctioned, and we repeat, sanctioned, accredited, professional industry course. Okay? And it's to be offered by the internet. Why do we do that? Internet, because that's the way to go. You presumably will be working at this time, and you don't have to leave to go attend a course somewhere or what. You can do it at your own time. Now, we do have some time limitations for you to do the whole thing, but it allows you to work on your laptop, on your tablet, on your whatever, essentially at your own time. And everything is done via the internet. If you want support from us, if you have questions, you email us your questions, we will respond. So that's what that is going to be. Now, how do we break down the course? It is large. So what we've done is we've done it in 7 modules. And each of the modules will be issued to registrants, and there will be a test at the end of each module before you move to the next module, right? So the time structures are there, and so we will issue them as you finish the first one. It goes out. So there are 3 potential students here. You may be doing them at different times. You may finish the first module in a week. You may take 2 weeks or what have you, but that's how it's going to work. So everybody will, in effect, be individually treated. Right? Now, as you see there, the course completion time is set at a minimum of 7 weeks. So in other words, if you're good, you will finish your 7 modules in 7 weeks. Right? But we have a maximum of 12 weeks as of now. And then there will be a final qualifying examination that's taken within 2 weeks after the 7th module. All right? With me so far? Now, let's get into the real meat of this. The 7 principal modules are an introduction to the industry, really. And you'll see that. Then there's the introduction, the product knowledge. There is the meat of all of it. That's the substance of this course lies in the product knowledge. And to that, we can credit most of it to Tammy, because she has been around this business for so long. I don't think there is an item out there for sale that Tammy doesn't know what it is or where to find it. And I'll just say this and talk about that. In my view, and I've been around a lot of people in this industry by virtue of my business as a multi-line rep, I think Tammy Sirkin is this industry's all-time best sourcer. I have ever met. There is nothing, I mean, some of the things people ask her for, and I say, this is just bizarre. And Alyssa, you would understand that. People ask her for stuff, and she takes it on, and lo and behold, she finds it, and if she can't find it, she has it made. But, so, product knowledge, yeah. We have product and material handling, decoration, a huge portion of this business, because so few people know all about that. Customer interface, when we include all of the customer aspect, finance and administration, and compliances. Now, you may be wondering what compliances are, but now you have all of these rules and regulations about items that can't have BPA and all of these things, hoodies that can't have strings, etc. There is a great deal of importance to compliances. Okay, in Module 1, we have the industry, the history of the industry, and an overview. The glossary of terms. Now you may be wondering, why is a glossary in the first module? Normally, a glossary, you find it at the end of a book or a publication. Well, so far we have 271 items in the glossary. That's 271 industry-specific words, terms that we thought it is difficult for you to learn anything about the industry unless you know what these terms mean. So we brought it forward. We took it from the back, we brought it forward. We figured, learn all your terms. Now, I mean, like, there's so many terms you can think of. Just so very many. Industry codes, again, we thought we would bring them up front because most people, industry codes have been traditionally kept a secret in this industry. It's significant that people keep it away from purchasers and so on because nobody wants to know what your cost price is. But if you're going to be in this industry, you need to know what the codes are and how to calculate. So we brought it forward also. Module 2. This is the significant one. And you will recognize the categories that we thought, and believe me, there are more. Within some of these, you will find more categories. But just did you, on a quick glance, did any of you ladies realize that there are this many categories in here? Okay, so this is absolutely the monster module, okay? This is the one. When you get through this, believe me, this is very much like being in university. The first year is a breeze. No, it is, because the first year, it's usually in a 4-year program, usually second year, that's about third year. Once you've got to third year, you're likely to graduate, okay? But it's usually the first year they suck you in. The second year, that's where the meat is. That's when you start doing some work. Well, here it is, all of this. Writing instruments, of course you notice, go sell pens, so you see what's number 1. Writing instruments, okay? But because, believe it or not, over all the years, writing instruments is still the number 2 product sold year after year. Wearables, apparel, okay? But so that's, writing instruments has traditionally been number 2. Drinkware, paper products, leather and vinyl, apparel, and wearables, metal, die-cast, die-struck, timepieces, food products, electronics and technology, awards, bags, eco products, very significant nowadays, lifestyle, outdoor housewares, sports and games, lanyards, automotive, tools and lights, key tags, knives, health, safety and fitness, and travel. So those, as of now, are the Module 2. Module 3, we get into product and material handling, sourcing, import and export. How significant is that? Very, because now a lot of stuff is coming from the Orient and Asia. You've got to know about all of that. Receiving and shipping, warehousing, inventory control. You might say, I'm a distributor, what warehousing? Well, a lot of distributors run programs. So you have to warehouse it, you have to know when to bring it in, when to send it out, etc. And then, of course, inventory control. All of those are tied together. Module 4, decoration, decorating methods and artwork. Without that, you have no business. Module 5, customer interface, customer service, of course, quotations and samples, programs, as I've just mentioned, the preparation of a presentation. Like you're going to see a client, tomorrow. What are you going to present to them? How do you do that? And of course, social media. Without that now, you don't have much. Module 6, finance and administration, the purchase order and its preparation. Again, very, very significant, okay? Because it's been proven, and we'll show you in there where the incorrect preparation of a purchase order affects your business and it affects suppliers. It's an amazing statistic that some 65% of purchase orders that suppliers receive are incorrect. They're either totally wrong or they're missing something, but they're incorrect. And both the supplier and the distributor now have to spend time correcting this, doing it right. So time is lost, delivery times are all messed up, and so on. And of course, it's expensive, it's costly. So that is critical, the purchase order and the preparation. Significant forms, there are some other forms that are very, very significant. Then we get into bookkeeping and accounting and banking. All right? Module 7, we're almost there, has your compliances, the social and product compliance, and then there's a summary of the course significance, and then the final exam. Okay. Now, you've done all that. What we call the learner outcome this is what we believe will happen, that the successful graduates will have the knowledge required to administer efficiently all the non-sales operations of promotional products business and to own and operate their own business. Certification will gain them entry to a national registry, which I mentioned earlier, of industry-trained, qualified personnel, maintained, current, and made available to industry employers. So those employers out there that are now emailing us saying, does anybody know of anybody who I can get to work? They will have something to draw on. Here is the agency of graduates. It's intended to make available to the industry employers a pool of accredited course graduates. And as I mentioned earlier, number 2, at their choice. This is specifically at your choice. If you don't want to go on that registry, you don't have to. It's your choice. But if you feel, I'd like to put myself in there and be open. One of the advantages of this, if you decide to move to Vancouver, and there are distributors out there. So you've been in the business here, or you've been in Northern Ontario or in Quebec or what have you, but you want to move to Vancouver. You go on the registry, somebody in Vancouver, some employer in Vancouver who's looking for somebody can go to the registry and find you, and you can check out somebody in the agency who is in Vancouver looking for someone, so you can approach them. That's the intention here. And then, of course, it's at no cost to you. It's at the cost to the employer or the potential employer. Okay? Now, the costs. The complete online course, including the 7 modules, the test and final examination, is $1,995 per individual. Now we're also offering almost primarily to suppliers, in-house corporate one-day seminars, and those will be for $1,295, and that will have up to 5 participants at one time in the seminar, and that will be up to $1,295 plus travel expenses. And the travel expenses is for if it's a company in Winnipeg that wants me to go out there and do this seminar, then that's where the travel expenses comes in, okay, and places like that. So we have beta testers, and hello, beta testers. We're offering it to beta testers, anybody who wants to register for the course today and to provide us with, to go through all this course and provide us with feedback. We're offering the course at half price, which is $998 per person. Now, all of that comes in, and you're thinking, okay, well, that's a fee that we can do and see if you have a distributorship. Let me just show you what a cost-benefit analysis is. I'm sure you're familiar now that there are franchisors that are having distributors join them, and they offer you a couple of things. They offer you financing. They offer purchase order preparation and collection, invoicing and collection. Right? For that, they charge anywhere between 7 and 9% of your gross sales. So, if you take a distributorship doing $500,000 a year, and you take it at the lowest rate of 7%, that's $35,000 a year. Now, for that $35,000 a year, you get, as I said, you get, they'll finance your orders, they'll do your purchase orders, they will invoice, and they will collect. However, you still have to, you the distributor, still have to provide the information for the order to the franchisor. So you're out selling, you come back in off the road, you still have to provide that. You still have to follow up with the franchisor as to what's happening with your order, deliveries, etc. And there is no one, presumably, in your office at this point, if you're going just with that, to do all of the rest of the administration stuff we've just been through in the modules. There's no customer service, there is no banking, there is no sourcing, there is no any of that being done for you. So we see this as an alternative. Train somebody in this program at $19.95. It's a one-time fee. Person gets trained, they have the knowledge, and then a knowledgeable employee can now perform all of the administrative functions as well as inside sales, right? And so if you do the quick math, the distributor who chooses to do that now has $33,000 left to pay somebody. So we see this as a win-win, and you have the person in your office under your total control. Okay, so that is where we're at. That is how we see that working beneficially for distributors. And at that point, I'll ask you if you got any questions. It's that good? Well, thank you.
So, at the end of each module, you're doing a test?
Yes.
That then allows you to move on to the
Correct, if you're successful.
Right, so what happens if you're not? Repeat it.
You,
Just repeat it
you repeat it.
at the same cost?
Yeah, it's,
No, no, not the whole course, just the module. The
Right.
aim of the game is that you know the information.
Right.
We want you to know the information. So if you messed up the first test, do it again.
Okay,
We'll tell you where you've messed up and you'll just redo it.
so does the test allow you to, I guess the best way I think of it is like an open book. Are you allowed to
Yeah,
refer
because
back to
you're
the
doing,
module?
you're
as
doing it
in-
on your own time. You're doing it at your place. You're not coming to a venue to do it. You're doing it online.
Versus the exam, are you doing the exam online as well?
yes,
Oh, it is?
yes.
And at that point, can you refer back to your?
Well, you will have the information.
Okay.
I mean, the information is yours. It's on your laptop or you've printed it off. So if you want to say, like, of those 271 things, now it's for us to do it so that you will
Well, that's.
have to.
That's why like, the point to me is not to memorize it, it's to learn it. And so the more exposure you have to it, the
That's
better you'll learn it.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. No, we're not asking you to memorize the 271 items or entries but you will have to. We will set the exam questions or the test questions in such a way that you will have to work them in and figure out. And if you don't remember it at the time, presumably you're going to go look it up. But once you've looked it up, hopefully you will remember what it is at that point, or remember where it's used, or you'll know where to find it.
And are you accessible if there's something that's not,
Yeah,
that you're just not getting or?
as I said,
more information on?
we're there. The whole thing is done. You have a question or a series of questions, you can either phone us or preferably email us with your questions, and we'll email you the answer.
So essentially, it's like a mentorship program.
Pardon me.
Because I think that's something that's lost on the sort of 35 and unders, is that mentoring is actually a fabulous thing in life.
Yeah, I'd like you to come speak at our other things and mention that. Yeah, but
Actually, you know what you should mention, Willoughby, is it's really interesting. There's a study that's been done on creativity, because part of what we've been listening to for the last 2 days is, I want to use this, I work in the jewelry cast metal world, and I want to use this, I don't know how. I have these ideas, but I don't know how to do design. So, 96% of kindergartners consider themselves creative, and 4% of third graders do. Because we grill into kids' heads, the analytical brains are the only way to go. So by the time they get to a job, they only know how to do things one way.
right.
So that would be a really interesting piece to put into that as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? There must be some. Do you see the significance of this and the benefit of this at this point? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So in the module, I guess, the product knowledge module, was that the one where you would do sourcing? Is that, I don't remember.
Product knowledge is just that, it's all the different categories where it's like,
Sourcing is not in product knowledge. It's
Module 3.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I find that for me, I'm on the distributor side. That's what a weakness, if you may.
Well-
I want to know how to better source, and I feel
Well, that's-
intimidated at like, oh, how do I find that? Where do I? find
You're in the best possible hands you could be in, because as I said before, if there is one thing Tammy is good at, it's sourcing. She's just, powerful at that. Mm-hmm.
so, you wanna talk about this? Where's the CU forms?
Right there, in the brown envelope.
I'm also going to bring the CU form, because you did get points. CU forms from CU.
And actually, just for being here this morning, you get 1.5 CEU right off the bat.
To get what? To get your CAS? Which you can also do online.
Some more thoughts on the program?
I'm very impressed. I'm new to the industry, so it's nice to see that there is actually a career path.
Thank you. Yeah. And that's exactly what this is intended to be, because as I said, everybody gets into it, and it's all about sales. I have nothing about sales. I mean, I make my living by selling, but that also, happily, I also know how to run a back office, because without it, you have no business. But what happens with most of us individual operators, because I am individual, Tammy has one associate, but you end up working until midnight and 1 o'clock every morning, and you work all weekends, because that's when you have to do your administrative work. So if you have no time whatsoever to focus on your wider sales or the growth of your company, because the growth depends more on more than just sales. But people get caught up completely in the selling, and then they come in and the sales fall apart because the order is incorrect, the delivery wasn't made properly, what have you, so you lose that client. So what's the point?
Can we talk in the product knowledge, we describe materials, how things are made, what type of deck, how it's sold, whether it's sold in various quantities. We also talk about what decorating method can be used on those particular products. There's the section on decorating talks about pack printing, silk screening, and hot stamping. We describe all the different methods. But in the product knowledge, it talks about how to use each one, where to find it, and so on. What the pitfalls are. It's nice to see that there's the personnel agency at the end of this.
Right.
Because being new to the industry, I mean, I don't know how many people would want to hire me anyway, but should I need another job a job in the future, I know that I have options available.
I'm delighted to hear you say that, because that's exactly the intention of this thing. It's to give you, since we talked about in the very first slide, the talk about the industry competency and so on, we need to give you the career pathway to industry competency. Okay, that was not just a careless tagline. That's exactly what we needed to be. So in an effort to perpetuate your career pathway, we decided to come up with this with the agency, which is really to benefit. It's like going back to schools or trade schools or universities. They, at the end of every course, they tell you, they usually have somewhere where you can be registered for employment in whatever field you took. So this is what the idea is here. And you see, from our thing here, we need to carve it in stone. We're going to make you remember this stuff, because we're going to really carve it in stone. Talking about carve it in stone, one of the important things about this is that this is not a static situation. Now, sure, you're going to take it like anybody else taking a course in university. You take it now, and next semester, the course has changed. But we will constantly be updating this course as required. By then, if there are whatever significant changes happen in the industry, we will be working into this course. Now, once you have your password to be able to get into the course and so on, you will have access to all of that. So it's like a continuing education program. Since nobody is mentioning it, let me ask you about the price. What's your reaction to the cost?
I'm good because my employer is paying for it.
Wonderful.
I get the okay.
Wonderful. That's what we were hoping for. But you can see when you see the benefit of the cost benefit analysis. I mean, what employer would not want to do that? I mean, yeah, you can go join one of the franchisors, but you lose total control of your business. And unless you are desperate for financing, which if you are, you shouldn't really be in the business, okay? But unless you're desperate for financing, that to me is the biggest part of what the franchisors offer, because all the rest takes the control of your business right out of your hand. Right? You have no more control over your business. You're just a salesperson. You may as well be working for John Brown as a salesperson and not have the responsibility of anything else.
Going back to that cost analysis of benefits,
Yes?
that would apply to distributor only. Correct?
Well,
Yeah, the suppliers don't.
actually,
Franchises.
the supplier doesn't traditionally opt to go with the franchisors. But there are aspects of it that are significant because the suppliers some of them have 35 and 40 customer service people. So if they get them trained properly, it works. But the comparison between the franchisor and this doesn't exist, doesn't apply there. But as far as suppliers using it, and we're aware of some supplier companies who have, as I said, 35 customer service people that they want to have trained. So we can either do it in the seminar format and pick out, some of the modules and do it, or they can send their people to do the course. Mm-hmm. So, we are at the end of our presentation, and if you have anything else you'd like to discuss with us, please feel free, really, now or after the session. Okay? Thank you very much for attending.
And don't hesitate, don't be shy. If you have questions, just, if you want to talk to us privately after, by all means, we'll be here for a little while.
You have our numbers. We'll give you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll just give them a card too with the names and.